Welcome to the Infidelity Diaries. Dive into the hidden truths and heart-wrenching tales of betrayal with us. Life can throw unexpected twists our way, leaving us breathless. All is serene and known. Then in an instant, like a flash in a blue sky, everything shifts. Initially, it's barely there. A whisper at the edge of awareness, but with each passing moment, that sensation swells, consuming you whole. That evening was charged with emotion as Richard, my husband's father, arrived for a visit. I'm Claire, just a woman in a quiet Oregon town, but my life is anything but ordinary. Married to Daniel, our lives revolve around our 2 children, the focus of all our passion and effort. Our house stands beside the forest, and in solitude, I sense the trees murmuring, sharing secrets of a time long past. Yet I've come to understand that the true secrets lie not in the depths of the forest, but right beside us, within those we hold dear. Richard showed up out of the blue, despite having told us he would come. His visits were few, yet they held weight. Deeply absorbed in his work across state lines, he still carved out moments for us. That evening I opened the door to him, a strange unease tightening in my chest. He was usually calm and reserved, but in that instant, his gaze held something unfamiliar that made me freeze. After dinner we lingered in the living room, silence heavy with unspoken words. Daniel spoke of work, the children asleep, the fire alone bearing witness to our words. I fought to avert my gaze from Richard, yet his presence consumed me entirely. His gaze was an unseen force drawing me in. The absurdity of it all only deepened the thrill, as if a silent game was playing out between us. Daniel's voice faded as Richard's eyes pulled me in, a magnetic force I couldn't resist. It was strange, incomprehensible, and yet utterly magnetic. It was more than curiosity. It was a deep yearning, a pull that urged me to uncover the secrets hidden behind his quiet smile. The night thickened, shadows stretching, consuming the room in darkness. The air shifted, thick with an unnameable tension. That evening felt unlike any before, though I couldn't grasp why. As the chatter faded and Daniel proposed we retreat to our rooms, an unexpected wave of disappointment washed over me. It was madness, yet I found myself yearning to linger, to keep experiencing the electric pull that enveloped us. Yet I knew I had to deny myself that. I rose quietly, trailing behind my husband, leaving Richard to wrestle with his own thoughts. The night stretched endlessly. I writhed in bed, desperate for sleep, but Richard haunted my mind. His gaze lingered, his calmness etched in my thoughts. His voice echoed in my mind, unforgettable and haunting. I fought to dismiss it as mere imagination, a product of exhaustion and stress, but it only deepened the turmoil within me. Within me a force awakened, a truth I feared to voice. The following morning I forced myself to pretend everything was fine. Breakfast with Daniel was routine, yet I sensed Richard's gaze probing, searching for the secrets I held within. It was a silent game, unspoken rules binding them, yet both felt the tension of the match unfolding. As Daniel headed to work and the kids departed for school, I found myself alone with Richard. The house stood silent, the wind whispering through the trees, wrapping everything in a fragile calm. As I scrubbed and cleaned, my mind was a relentless tide, pulling me back to him. I listened intently for his footsteps, the echoes of his presence, and soon I understood. I was longing for our meeting. He stepped into the kitchen as I scrubbed the dishes, tension thick in the air. His presence struck me like a thunderclap, sending a jolt of nervous energy racing through my chest. I couldn't bring myself to look back, yet his presence loomed close, sending my heart into a frantic beat. Claire. His voice pierced the silence and I recoiled. He appeared calm, yet a subtle tension in his voice stole my breath away. Our eyes locked, a spark igniting between us. He was nearer than I anticipated, sending a shiver racing down my spine. His eyes held secrets, a depth that hinted at truths beyond my grasp. We locked eyes, a heavy silence enveloping us, and in that instant, I understood that our bond had deepened beyond the roles of father-in-law and daughter-in-law. Words choked me, trapped in a silent scream. We were so close I could hear his breath, and that feeling consumed me entirely. A tempest raged within me. I realized something was unfolding that shouldn't, yet I was powerless to intervene. Each look, each movement from him pulled me closer, revealing a connection deeper than mere attraction. It was extraordinary, a slow-burning ember, igniting deep within. Richard looked away, granting me a moment to gather myself. Yet I understood this moment would haunt my thoughts forever. Each task I undertook was shadowed by him. His gaze, his voice, an unshakable weight that lingered in the air. A storm loomed, unseen yet consuming, gripping my every thought. That day slipped away, but its weight lingered, marking a shift in my existence. I understood the peril, yet I was powerless to stop myself. Everything felt ordinary, but within me, a powerful force was awakening, consuming me completely. All day, I wrestled with the storm inside me, searching for answers that eluded my grasp. Cleaning, cooking, household chores, they were meant to pull me away. Yet solitude always brought me back to Richard. Restlessness consumed me, yet the reason eluded my grasp. An unseen net closed in, constricting tighter with every fleeting moment. As evening fell and Daniel walked in from work, I masked my turmoil with a facade of normalcy. We shared a meal, our conversation dancing around the mundane, yet charged with unspoken truths. Daniel spoke of work troubles, but my eyes were drawn to Richard, who felt the unspoken tension crackling between us. His calmness and silence held a haunting allure, as if he were poised, daring me to take the first step. After dinner, Daniel proposed a walk. I felt too tired and overwhelmed to accept. He shrugged, pressed his lips to my forehead, and walked away, leaving me alone with Richard. The air thickened, a palpable tension, as if a storm was brewing just beyond the horizon. A chill ran through me, words escaping my grasp. "Claire." Richard shattered the silence, his voice steady yet laced with a pressure that made me recoil. "You've transformed in ways I can't ignore. Is everything okay?" This question tightened my chest. I couldn't reveal my feelings to him. They were a mystery even to me. His words pierced through me, a mix of surprise and longing igniting within. "Yes, all is well," I said, forcing a calm facade.
"I'm exhausted."
Richard's silence spoke volumes as his eyes held mine, a moment stretching into eternity. His gaze held questions that left me speechless. We sank into silence, a silence that held a strange comfort. It was charged with unspoken tension, each of us poised, teetering on the edge, afraid to take that first step. Eventually, being in the same room with him became too much to bear. My heart raced, thoughts spiraled into chaos. I rose from the sofa, avoiding Richard's gaze, and moved toward the door. I stepped outside for air, my back turned, words hanging heavy in the silence. Silence hung heavy as I stepped outside, the cool night air wrapping around me like a shroud. The forest loomed silent and still, a whisper of wind stirring the leaves, hinting at secrets untold. I inhaled sharply, heart pounding, and stepped cautiously down the path, plunging into the depths of the forest. I had to pause and reflect. I needed to grasp the chaos unfolding within me. This man, my husband's father, once a figure of chill and distance. Why was I suddenly drawn to him in a way I couldn't understand? These thoughts haunted me, offering only confusion. I ventured deeper into the forest, my mind a whirlwind of chaos. The path brought me to a small pond, a memory I had nearly lost. The water lay dark and motionless, mirroring the night sky, punctuated by a handful of distant stars. I sank onto a bench by the water, the wind whispering through the trees, a haunting melody of nature's touch. In this solitude I found my peace at last. I shut my eyes, letting Richard, Daniel, and my worries fade away, if only for a heartbeat. The calm shattered swiftly. Footsteps echoed behind me, and a jolt of fear shot through my body. A figure loomed closer as I opened my eyes. It was Richard. The name echoed, heavy with unspoken weight. He approached, settling beside me on the bench, silence heavy between us. His presence sent a jolt of nerves through me, yet a fierce spark ignited deep inside, an unquenchable flame within me. We lingered in silence, close yet worlds apart. The silence enveloped us, yet within it, an unseen energy pulsed between us. An electric jolt surged through me, quickening my heartbeat. Within me, two emotions clashed violently. A desperate pull to escape, shadowed by the terror of what could unfold if I remained. Richard's gaze pierced through the air, locking onto mine. In his eyes, I glimpsed my own turmoil reflected back at me. Magnetism, a passion buried deep, now raging, impossible to suppress. Silence enveloped him, yet his gaze conveyed a depth that words could never reach. I was trapped, unable to turn my gaze or walk away. We were two magnets irresistibly pulled together, no matter the barriers. My breath quickened, fear gripping me that he might hear my racing heart. In that instant, fear gripped me. Terrified, I realized I was losing control. The pull towards him was overwhelming. I realized that lingering here would shatter my resolve completely. But Richard, feeling my unease, severed the bond first. He shifted his eyes to the pond's shadowy depths. The tension faded, but so did my hope. I longed for him to take that first step, to set ablaze the spark we both sensed. Yet, he could have grasped the peril lurking beneath. "It's serene here," he finally whispered, his voice steady, masking the storm beneath. "Absolutely." I nodded, fighting to reclaim my grip. "This place ignites deep reflection." His gaze met mine once more, and I understood that this was only the start of something profound. Amidst the chaos and fear, I realized this night was merely the beginning of a fire that would soon consume everything. We lingered, the night air creeping in, wrapping us in its cold embrace. Last I rose. Richard followed suit. We returned to the house, the weight of our past heavy in the air. This night had altered everything, and I felt it deep within me. Upon our return, Daniel lay fast asleep. I slipped under the covers, the chill of the night air from the forest brushing against my skin. I shut my eyes, yet slumber eluded me. I lay there, hearing Daniel's soft breaths, and felt the weight of impending change. This night signaled a perilous new chapter, one I couldn't escape. Everything changed, and there was no turning back from what had started. The next morning I awoke, a haunting certainty gripping me. Last night in the forest was no mere dream. It was a reality seeping into my very existence. Everything around me felt hauntingly familiar, yet transformed. Thoughts of Richard consumed me, the memory of us by the pond, wrapped in silence and unspoken desire, haunting my mind. His image lingered, a ghost in my mind, disrupting every mundane moment. Daniel departed for work at dawn, leaving me once more alone with Richard. The day started like any other. As the kids left for school, I plunged into the whirlwind of cleaning. Yet everything around felt alive, bursting with vibrant hues. With each step Richard took, each fleeting glance, an unfamiliar intensity surged within me. An electric charge crackled in the air, impossible to ignore. I spent the entire day dodging him. The thought of being alone again sent shivers down my spine. The memory of the pond loomed, and I knew I wouldn't be able to hold back this time. His footsteps echoed in the neighboring rooms, and the feeling wrapped around me like a suffocating fog. As dusk fell and the sun dipped below the horizon, his voice pierced the silence, calling me from the living room. It seemed serene, yet I sensed a hidden storm lurking beneath the surface. I stepped into the room, masking my fear with a facade of confidence, but inside I was shaking. Richard gazed out the window, the golden evening sky igniting a storm of emotions within him. His head turned slightly, drawn by the sound of my footsteps closing in. "Claire," he whispered, gauging my response to his voice. "Yes," I replied, my voice trembling, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. He hesitated, and I drew nearer, captivated by the magnetic pull between us. Silence enveloped the room, the faint wind outside a haunting reminder that life continued beyond our walls. Our proximity surprised me, the air thickening with unspoken tension. Richard turned to me, his eyes locking onto mine. In that instant I understood I could no longer escape. A fire blazed between us, impossible to quench. His gaze pierced through me, sending a shiver racing down my spine. "Why do you keep your distance from me?" he asked gently, his eyes searching mine as if he already knew yet craved my truth. I inhaled sharply, attempting to collect my thoughts, but they slipped away like grains of sand. I couldn't deceive him, couldn't mask the truth that all was not well. Fear gripped me as I confessed, my throat tightening painfully. Richard nodded, a flicker of comprehension in his eyes. He stepped closer, and his hand brushed against mine. The touch was fleeting, yet it ignited a tempest of feelings inside me. As our eyes locked, I felt the weight of surrender wash over me. Richard edged nearer, his breath warm against my skin, and I was captivated. In that instant, a fragile barrier separated us, teetering on the brink of vanishing. Uncertainty loomed, yet one truth pierced through the chaos. Craved it. I craved him. His hand brushed my cheek, a tender touch that sent shivers through me. The motion was so tender it sent shivers across my skin. My heart raced, a thunderous echo I feared he could sense. This feeling surged, unstoppable. Consumed me entirely. Richard leaned in and the world faded away. His eyes ignited with desire, lips inching closer to mine. I felt the pull to retreat, to end it all. Instead, I stepped closer, his grip on my face growing firmer. At last his lips met mine. It was a moment that changed everything. It was freedom, a break from every chain, every limit imposed. His lips were soft, warm. This kiss ignited feelings in me I had never known. Every fiber of my being cried out in protest, warning me of the colossal error I was about to make. In that instant I was powerless to resist. Richard drew me in, his arms encircling me. A desperate attempt to prevent my plunge into the void I had willingly embraced. The kiss ignited, a surge of passion long buried within us, consuming every moment. I matched his fervor, feeling his hands glide over my skin, igniting a surge of longing inside me. I felt the weight of my mistake. This moment held the power to alter everything. In that instant, all I could focus on was the overwhelming desire I felt for the man in front of me. As we pulled away, breaths ragged, disbelief washed over me at what had just transpired. His kiss left my lips aflame, my heart pounding like I had sprinted a marathon. Our eyes locked, a silent understanding of the gravity of our actions. "Claire," Richard whispered, his voice trembling with an unfamiliar doubt. "We can't." I cut him off, unable to bear another word. I understood his truth, yet I couldn't bear to let this moment slip away. I drew him close, our lips crashing together again, igniting a fire between us. This kiss ignited, searing, his arms wrapped around me, trapping me in a moment I couldn't flee. Stopping was never an option, even if we wished it could be. This was the moment we had longed for, yet feared to acknowledge. This kiss was a turning point, yet I was powerless to resist. I craved him like never before. As we broke apart, the universe seemed to shatter. Our lives would forever be altered. This kiss was a threshold, and I was lost in the uncertainty of its destination. Yet, one certainty burned within me. There was no turning back now. Richard let me go, his gaze burning with intensity, yet shadowed by worry. The tension crackled, impossible to overlook any longer. We both knew we had erred gravely, yet that realization couldn't halt the inevitable. "We must think," he urged. I nodded, lost for words. In that charged silence we stood, and I realized this moment had altered everything. When our lips finally separated, silence enveloped us, thick with tension and unvoiced emotions. I faced Richard, struggling to comprehend the chaos that had just unfolded. What was once solid now crumbled into chaos, leaving me lost and overwhelmed. Richard stepped back, an unspoken wall rising between us. His eyes flickered, revealing the guilt we both shared. Yet the undeniable pull between us lingered in the air. "We need to talk," he finally whispered, a mix of softness and resolve in his tone. "This was never meant to be, and we both understand that." I nodded, a sharp pain gripping my insides. He was absolutely right. This kiss was forbidden, yet it ignited a fire within us. Now we were bound by that truth forever. I was lost, trapped in a facade, pretending all was well while the truth loomed heavy between us. "I understand," I said, fighting to hold back the surge of feelings within me. "What comes next?" His gaze met mine, and in his eyes I recognized the same torment that was ripping me to shreds. He longed to respond, but just then the front door creaked open and our hearts stopped. It was Daniel. The name echoed, heavy with unspoken weight. He came back sooner than I had anticipated. A chill gripped me, sweat pooling on my skin as I fought to mask my fear. Richard's face shifted instantly, his composure snapping back into place. "Claire, I'm home." Daniel's voice pierced the silence, drawing closer as he approached us in the living room. Richard nodded, a silent cue that our exchange had reached its end, then stepped aside, ready to go. I stayed put, a tempest of fear and guilt raging within me. Daniel stepped into the room, our eyes locked, and I fought to conceal the storm within. "Hi, darling," he whispered, leaning in to press his lips against my cheek. "Is everything all right?" I nodded, silence swallowing my voice. My heart raced, a silent alarm, and I dreaded that Daniel would catch the unease in me. Yet, he appeared oblivious to any hint of danger. Lost in his thoughts, He replayed the day's stories from work, each one a vivid echo of his mind. Richard lingered, absorbing Daniel's words, but the weight of it all became too much. He stepped away, seeking solitude. As he walked away, a sharp ache and dread coiled tightly inside me. What comes next? The evening hung heavy with an unsettling tension. I forced myself to stay present, yet my mind relentlessly returned to Richard. Daniel smiled, blissfully unaware of the tension that lingered beneath the surface, grateful for the family's reunion. We shared a film, savored a meal, and delved into our lives. Yet within me, chaos erupted. As darkness enveloped the world, I lay awake, restless. Next to Daniel, guilt wrapped around me like a heavy blanket. I realized my actions were beyond redemption. I had shattered his trust. The image of Richard lingered, his kiss, his touch haunting me. It coursed through my veins, a relentless torment that denied me peace. I slipped out of bed, careful not to disturb Daniel, and quietly exited the bedroom. I craved solitude, desperate to unravel the chaos that had unfolded. I stepped onto the porch, the cool night air wrapping around me like a whispered secret. Gazing at the obsidian sky, I sought the answers that eluded me. Yet they were absent. An emptiness consumed me, a void I couldn't understand. Outside, silence reigned, yet within it my thoughts screamed. I knew our kiss would change everything. A line was crossed and there was no turning back. I faced a choice: how to bear this burden of truth. A jolt of surprise coursed through me as a hand landed on my shoulder, pulling me from the depths of my thoughts. I turned and there he was, Richard. He lingered close, face taut, eyes brimming with dread. "Claire, we need to talk," he whispered, his voice trembling in the stillness of the night. I nodded, understanding that I could no longer escape this moment. We stepped into the garden, shadows of trees wrapping around us, hiding us from the world. Richard paused, his gaze locked onto mine, and my heart raced anew. "This shouldn't have happened," he whispered, his voice quaking with raw emotion. "I can't ignore the connection we share. I'm lost, Claire. Yet there's one truth I hold close. We must confront the reality that everything has shifted." These words struck me hard. He was right, and yet silence consumed me. I stared at him, my mind racing, searching for the next move. We stood at the brink, each step a heartbeat away from the end. "What now? What's our move?" I finally asked, dread consuming me. Richard stepped closer, his hand brushing against mine once more. The warmth of the touch masked an uncertainty that mirrored my inner turmoil. "I don't know," he whispered, agony lacing his words. "Yet there's one truth I hold close. I won't let you go. Yet I can't turn my back on Daniel. We must choose our next move carefully." Words escaped me. We both knew that our actions would alter the course of everything. We could cut the bonds that held us or face the fate that awaited us. The decision demanded careful consideration. In the garden we stood still, enveloped by the night's hushed embrace. Emotions swirled within me, a tempest I couldn't articulate, leaving my soul in turmoil. This moment defined my life, and I felt the weight of every choice we faced. "We can't go back," I whispered, my voice trembling at last. "I feel lost, unsure of the next step." Richard nodded, his agreement palpable. We were ensnared with no way out. In that instant it struck me. I couldn't bear to be without the one before me. Through every obstacle and wave of pain, I felt our bond defy all rules and restrictions. "We'll find a way," Richard declared, his voice brimming with determination. "We must confront the truth, both with one another and within ourselves." I nodded, his words igniting a fire within me. Uncertainty loomed, yet in that instant I understood. I was prepared to embrace this journey, regardless of the challenges ahead. We walked back to the house, silence heavy between us. Yet deep down, I knew this conversation had altered everything. We had transcended the roles of father-in-law and daughter-in-law. We transformed into an unstoppable force, bound by an unbreakable connection. The next morning I awoke, the weight of the world pressing down on me. The past few days surged through me. Every charged moment with Richard, the kisses, the unavoidable talks. Each one a vivid reminder I could no longer escape my feelings. Daniel slipped out for work once more, leaving Richard and me in the heavy silence of the house. His closeness ignited a fire within me, the weight of our shared past forming an unbreakable wall between us, impossible to overlook. After breakfast, I scrubbed the kitchen, battling my thoughts that buzzed back like relentless flies, refusing to grant me a moment's peace. Richard felt a surge of unease. His footsteps echoed in the next room, his gaze burning into me with every pass. Every second stretched, the weight of anticipation crushing me, pushing me to the brink. In a fleeting moment, I understood the weight of taking that first step. I finally unleashed the feelings I had buried deep within me for far too long. I tossed the dishcloth into the sink and walked to the living room, where Richard sat on the couch, deep in his own world. His gaze met mine as I stepped in, and I felt the same fierce flame igniting within us both. Silently, I edged nearer, my heart pounding wildly. In silence, our eyes conveyed what words never could. In that instant, I realized I could no longer resist this pull. It had overtaken me, and I could see that Richard shared my struggle. He rose and I moved closer. Our breaths intertwined, a single shared moment. His hand on my shoulder erased everything else, leaving only us in that instant. All constraints vanished, leaving only freedom. Only passion remained, a fire igniting with every heartbeat we shared. Richard drew me in, our lips crashing together, free of hesitation and fear. The kiss ignited a fire, a longing we could no longer conceal. I matched that intensity, watching my defenses shatter beneath the weight of this emotion. His hands roamed my body, and a surge of warmth consumed me. He kissed me like it was our final chance, and I lost myself in that instant, the world fading away. We both felt it, the weight of inevitability, the line we had crossed, forever beyond return. His hand slid over my skin, and I surrendered completely. This moment belonged to us alone, and I felt an unshakable certainty that nothing could stand in our way. Richard swept me off my feet, and I clung to him tightly as he carried me down the dim hallway to the bedroom. The path to the room stretched on forever, but my body ignited with longing. The moment was electric, a long-awaited collision of our souls, ready to reveal the secrets we had buried deep. As we entered the bedroom, Richard's touch was soft as he laid me on the bed, his presence looming above me. His eyes ignited with fervor, and in that instant, I knew he was poised to offer me his all. I traced his face, savoring each contour, each curve, as our kiss ignited, burning with intensity. He descended upon me, his lips igniting fiery trails across my skin. I shut my eyes, yielding to the sensations, every nerve in my body igniting beneath his touch. I couldn't contain my emotions any longer. They erupted like an unstoppable torrent. Richard's touch was soft, yet there was a powerful energy in his every move that ignited my longing. His hand swept across my body, discovering every curve anew, and with each kiss, each caress, the world faded away. His lips traveled up my body, finally finding mine once more. This moment, this feeling of oneness eclipsed all else. We became one, each breath and moan igniting the fire within us. His arms gripped me tighter, his body swaying in a frantic rhythm that escalated with every heartbeat. In that moment, I was poised to surrender all, sensing he was too. We were two flames intertwining, igniting a fierce brilliance. I couldn't contain my emotions, and suddenly, the world around us erupted in vivid hues. It exploded like fireworks, illuminating the sky, then vanished, leaving darkness in its wake. Richard arched his head back, and in that instant we both soared to a height forever out of reach. As it ended, we lay together, breaths ragged, my heart racing in time with his. We were tied by an unbreakable force. This moment was all we ever wanted, and I felt the world shift beneath us. We stood in silence, yet it felt charged, alive with unspoken understanding. In that instant, we were enveloped in an undeniable closeness. I faced Richard, caressed his cheek, and locked eyes with him. In his eyes, I glimpsed not just passion, but an unbreakable bond that tethered our souls together. "We can't hide this any longer," I whispered, my voice trembling in the stillness of the room. Richard nodded, and in that moment, our hearts echoed the same truth. There was no turning back now. This moment marked the start of an undeniable change for us both. Difficult choices loomed, and we braced for the fallout. In that instant, nothing else held weight. We were united, and that meant everything. Days slipped by since Richard and I fused, our bodies and souls entwined. That moment defined us, a peak of all we had strived for. Yet it also ushered in a stark new reality we had to face. This act altered everything. The clarity and peace between us would vanish forever. We stayed in the same house, yet everything had changed irrevocably. Daniel was blissfully unaware, heightening the electric tension between us. Each second with him felt like a lie, a performance in a script I never wrote. But the true intensity ignited when Richard and I found ourselves alone. These moments crackled with passion and pulsed with danger. We understood our bond couldn't stay secret for long. A choice loomed ahead, one that would alter everything. We clung to each second, knowing they might be our final taste of joy. On a night steeped in silence with Daniel deep in slumber, I found myself once more on the porch, seeking solace in my thoughts. The cool night air filled my lungs as I fought to steady my racing heart. Richard consumed my mind, our past together haunting me, while the future loomed uncertain. A relentless fire surged within me, impossible to quench. It was beyond passion. It engulfed me completely, leaving no part untouched. I loved Richard, but I was painfully aware of the tangled web of problems that came with it. Lost in thought, I froze as footsteps echoed behind me. It was Richard. The name echoed, heavy with unspoken truths. He approached, his hand brushing my shoulder, sending a jolt through me. The touch ignited a shiver, both hauntingly familiar and achingly fresh. I faced him, and in his gaze, I recognized the same blend of fervor and dread that churned within me. "We can't keep going like this," he said softly, piercing through my mind. "It's getting too risky, Claire. A choice must be made now." He was right, and it cut deep. We couldn't stay in this realm of whispered encounters and concealed emotions. A choice loomed, heavy with consequence, demanding our deepest reflection. "What do you think we should do?" I asked, my voice steady, but inside chaos raged. Richard paused, the weight of his thoughts heavy in the air. He fought within, searching for an escape, yet his eyes revealed the anguish he concealed. "I don't know," he finally admitted, "but I can't bear to watch you hurt any longer. We must choose our next move carefully. Should we reveal the truth to Daniel?" His words hit me with the force of a storm. His suggestion caught me off guard, yet I grasped the reasoning behind it. We were bound to be found. How could I ever tell Daniel the truth? What would he do? Thoughts spiraled relentless, leaving me lost in the void of uncertainty. "It will annihilate everything," I breathed, a shiver coursing through me. "Is this truly the way forward?" Richard leaned in, his hand brushing my cheek, igniting a fire within me. "I don't know," he confessed, and the anguish in his voice was palpable. "Yet I am certain of one thing. This deception suffocates me. I can't endure it any longer. You matter more than words can say. I'd sacrifice everything just to be by your side, Claire." His words pierced through me. I felt the weight of his honesty, yet the choice before us loomed, ready to shatter our world. Our old life was gone forever. Was it really needed? We stood in the night's silence, the tension between us palpable, suffocating. This moment was a pivotal shift in our lives. There was no turning back. I refused to hide any longer, I declared, sealing my choice. "We must tread lightly. I need a moment to process it all." Richard nodded, grasping that my request wasn't for retreat, but for readiness for the challenges to come. He held me close, his arms a fortress against the chaos outside. In that instant, I realized I would risk everything to be with him, no matter the cost. In the days that followed, I struggled to reveal the truth to Daniel. Yet each time I tried to speak, an invisible force restrained me, a suffocating weight stealing my breath away. I was compelled, yet lost in uncertainty. Richard sensed the tension, yet he held back, refusing to add to my burden. Our secret meetings persisted, yet they were now steeped in sorrow rather than happiness. We both felt it, the impending moment when a choice would shatter our world. One day, with the house silent and Daniel away on business, Richard approached me. He appeared serene, yet his eyes burned with a fierce determination I had never seen before. He came closer, silence enveloping us, and grasped my hand, guiding me toward the bedroom. I understood his desire. In that instant, I craved it just as fiercely. We could wait no more, could no longer conceal our emotions. I trailed behind him, a blaze of desire consuming my every thought. This was our chance, and we had to seize it. Richard shut the bedroom door, and the tension evaporated, leaving only a charged silence. He pulled me close, and our lips collided once more in a fervent kiss. This time it was more than desire. It was a fierce determination to unite, against all odds. This moment marked a new beginning, impossible to ignore any longer. As we lay entwined on the bed, his hand slipped my clothes away, and I surrendered entirely to the rush of sensation. United we burned with passion, each moment a heartbeat of love. It transcended mere attraction. It was the profound connection of two souls reuniting at last. Richard's birthday was set for an intimate evening, just the three of us in our home, a sanctuary that concealed our deepest secrets. From the moment dawn broke, an unsettling feeling gripped me, a sense of something unavoidable lurking just ahead, yet I forced myself to push it aside. I had to concentrate on my strategy. I chose to surprise Richard with a meaningful gift. It needed to be more than a simple act. It had to reveal the emotions I had buried deep within for far too long. An idea struck me, relentless and consuming. I rushed to the store, desperate to find an outfit that would unleash the fire within me. The store buzzed with alluring costumes, but one caught my gaze. A latex ensemble, its skirt daringly brief, paired with a mysterious mask. It was everything. When he saw me in this outfit, I felt certain Richard would grasp it all. No words needed. I purchased it, concealed it in my closet, and penned a brief note for Richard, detailing when and where to meet. I tucked the note into his bag, praying he would discover it just in time. As dusk fell, we huddled around the table, hearts racing to honor the birthday. Daniel laughed and shared tales, his joy a mask, oblivious to the shadows lurking beneath. Richard appeared composed, yet his eyes held the same fierce spark I recognized in myself. Our secret cloaked in shadows known only to us. The dinner unfolded seamlessly, every detail aligning perfectly with the plan. Everything shifted when Daniel recalled the crucial documents stashed in Richard's bag. It caught me off guard, yet I brushed it aside. Daniel slipped into another room, hunting for the documents. I remained at the table, thoughts swirling, the weight of silence pressing down. Moments later he was back, urgency etched on his face. "I have to go," he said, "tonight." He said, surprisingly calm, "We'll have to postpone our conversation until tomorrow." His words struck like a verdict, leaving me speechless. He rushed to pack, pressed a fleeting kiss on my cheek, and vanished, leaving me alone with Richard. Confusion engulfed me, yet a chilling certainty gripped my heart. Something dreadful loomed before us. When he walked away, the pressure within me exploded. I sensed Daniel was up to something, but the details eluded me. Richard and I carried on through the night, yet each look he cast my way was laced with unspoken worry. When the house hushed, I donned the costume I had ready, and Richard and I slipped into the bedroom. This was our moment. I had to seize it right then and there. As I stepped into the bedroom, Richard's gaze locked onto mine, anticipation crackling in the air. His eyes sparkled with joy as they fell upon me in the costume. I started to dance, passion surging within me. It was a liberation, a raw outpouring of our deepest emotions for one another. In that instant, the bedroom door burst open and I stood paralyzed. Daniel lingered in the doorway, his expression a storm of fury and anguish. He remained silent, eyes fixed on the chaos unraveling before him. "What's happening here?" His voice dripped with menace. Richard leaped from the bed, his expression shifting to one of despair as the truth loomed before him. "You shattered my trust." Daniel lunged, fists flying at Richard, a storm of fury unleashed. "You, Dad." The strikes landed with an intensity one had never witnessed in Daniel before. Richard fought back, yet the pain in his eyes revealed his reluctance to harm his son. This battle was steeped in agony and despair, a definitive end to all we once held dear. In a swift motion, Daniel shoved Richard, sending him crashing to the ground. I sprinted to his side, but Daniel held me back, his gaze seething with fury. "Leave now. Both of you." He spoke with an unsettling serenity. "I'll never look your way again. Always." My insides were unraveling, yet I understood we had no other option. Richard and I stepped out, silence enveloping us, as we abandoned all that we once cherished. We slipped away under the cover of darkness, the house wrapped in silence, hiding the echoes of what had happened. I can't recall the packing or my words to Richard. Everything faded into a single distorted smear, as if these moments belonged to another, not me. We were two lost souls, slipping from a broken reality, yearning to flee what was beyond salvation. Richard drove, a mask of stillness, his gaze locked forward, unyielding. I searched his eyes for a flicker of emotion, a glimpse of his inner turmoil, but all I encountered was a chilling, haunting void. Silence enveloped us. No words, no looks, no contact. In that moment, words felt superfluous, their weight lost in the silence. We both knew it was over, that we had lost it all: family, home, peace. Only memories lingered, each one steeped in bitterness, suffocating the last flickers of life within us. We drove endlessly, fleeing the shadows of our past, desperate to escape the weight of what had transpired. The distance couldn't lift the heavy burden of those events, suffocating us with relentless pressure. At some moment, I understood that this journey symbolized our escape, not just from Daniel but from one another too. We both understood that the bond we once shared was forever lost. We pulled into a tiny motel on the town's edge, a place stripped of memories that haunted us. The place was so ordinary and dull that it faded into the shadows. Richard slipped from the car, his heart pounding as he approached the registration desk. I trailed behind him, an empty vessel consumed by a profound, aching sorrow. We checked in and ascended to our room, a hollow echo of the lifeless building surrounding us. Just a fleeting refuge, a place to escape the world. Yet we remained trapped within our own shadows. Silence enveloped the night. We lay on opposite sides of the bed, a chasm of silence between us, hearts racing yet frozen in place. I gazed at the ceiling, struggling to grasp the reality of it all, as if trapped in a nightmare with no escape. At the brink of the void, uncertainty gripped my heart, and I could only wonder what lay ahead. I shut my eyes, yearning for rest, but sleep eluded me. The last few days replayed relentlessly, each moment a piercing knife in my heart. Our final talk with Daniel echoes in my mind, his words laced with raw hatred and deep pain. Understanding the depth of my actions only deepened the ache within me. The weight of guilt pressed down on me, an unbearable burden I couldn't escape. As dawn broke, light crept through the curtains. Richard's words hung heavy. He had to go for business. And just like that, he was gone, leaving me alone in the room. His footsteps faded behind the door, and I felt the last thread between us unraveling with him. Perched on the bed's edge, silence enveloped me, a heavy weight of uncertainty pressing down. Our future lay cloaked in mist, revealing only a void of despair. Days blurred in that room, a haunting void consuming me. I stayed inside, silent and alone, for walls closed in on me, a prison of my own making. In solitude, reality clawed at my heart, each moment deepening the ache. The image of Daniel haunted me, his eyes brimming with disappointment and fury. The weight of his unforgiveness shattered me inside. On the third day, the papers came, finality etched in every word. I anticipated Daniel would file for divorce, but the swiftness took me by surprise. He moved swiftly, cutting all connections with a fierce resolve, erasing any chance for doubt or remorse. The papers held no warmth, only stark, lifeless legal jargon. Yet, among them lay a letter, penned in his own hand. "Claire, you are nothing to me now. Never again will I lay eyes on you or him. We're done. Erase me from your mind, just as I'll erase you from mine." Those words struck me with an intensity one had never felt before. A sharp crack echoed in my chest as the truth hit me. Daniel was gone, lost to me forever. This was it, the last breath, unchangeable. Now I stood utterly alone, bereft of all that had once mattered. Richard came back that evening, but the bond we once shared had vanished. He was miles away, trapped in his mind, and I held my breath, afraid to speak. We shared the same void, yet our fractures kept us from healing together. We shared a space, yet our pain isolated us, each lost in our own darkness. Days slipped by, and I felt the weight of Richard's absence grow heavier as he left me alone, time and again. He left without a word, and I stayed silent. A wall rose between us, pushing us apart, deeper into isolation. I realized our bond was shattered, yet the thought of losing him felt unbearable. Every day reflected the one before. I drifted through the room, a restless spirit searching for solace. Alone and lost, I felt the weight of despair crushing me. Richard and I were no longer the lovers we once were. We were mere shadows to each other, tethered by the weight of our shared anguish and remorse. I started to understand that this was just a fleeting escape, and that eventually Richard would be gone. He had to leave to escape this relentless nightmare. He grew distant, and I realized our paths would soon diverge forever. That night, as the truth settled in, I felt a fracture deep within. Everything I cherished was gone. Family, home, love. Alone, I faced the abyss of emptiness stretching before me. After the divorce papers arrived, an unshakable weight settled between Richard and me, a profound sense of irreversible loss. A thick fog closed in, severing the ties of passion and closeness that once united us. Each day our bond weakened, like brittle ice ready to splinter into countless fragments. We stayed in the same motel, our temporary refuge, but now it felt like a hollow shell, filled only with coldness and emptiness. Richard's departures grew more frequent, and I found myself alone in the silence. These business trips were his desperate flight from reality, a burden he could no longer shoulder. With every passing moment, his absence deepened. He came back late, weary and on edge, masking nothing of his cold demeanor. An unseen barrier loomed, rising relentlessly, a chasm deepening with every moment that slipped away. We stopped dreaming of tomorrow, our thoughts and feelings locked away, unspoken. The bond that felt unbreakable was crumbling piece by piece. I reached out to Richard, desperate to grasp his turmoil, but he kept me at bay. His silence pierced through me, a weight I could no longer bear. Loneliness engulfed me, a darkness closing in with no way out. I waited, heart racing, for any sign of his return, clinging to the hope that our spark still flickered. Yet with every return, he grew more distant, and I understood that my hopes were futile. One evening after Richard had gone, I found myself alone in the room, engulfed by a suffocating silence that closed in around me. I had to leave. The cold and emptiness were suffocating. I stepped outside, craving a breath of fresh air. But even surrounded by trees and whispering winds, solace eluded me. A profound, gnawing void engulfed me. Upon my return, I found only emptiness waiting for me. Richard never came back. I sat on the bed, heart racing, waiting for him. Yet, time lingered, each hour stretching painfully in desperate expectation. It hit me hard, he was gone for good. This revelation struck me like a dagger to the soul. He was gone just like everything else I had cherished. Days slipped by, and Richard remained absent. Without him, the room closed in, a suffocating cage with no way out. I existed in a tense pause, straining to catch the faintest sound beyond the door, yearning for the echo of his footsteps. But no footsteps echoed, and with each day that slipped by, hope dissolved like snow under the relentless sun. That day I stepped outside, determined to find Richard. I visited every spot we shared, yet he was nowhere to be found. He was gone, and I was left in this empty world haunted by memories. Back at the motel, a letter lay waiting on the table. His words, precise and unwavering, struck me down for good. Claire, I regret it deeply. This can't go on. We have gone our separate ways. We can't be together. What we had is now just a memory. Farewell. The letter held me captive, disbelief coursing through me. This was the conclusion I dreaded. Yet it arrived uninvited. Isolation consumed me, a void I couldn't escape. Every dream, every hope, every plan hangs in the balance. In a heartbeat, all was lost. I had no choice but to embrace this truth. The room I once knew now felt like a stranger. I had to leave, to escape the haunting memories that brought only anguish. I gathered my memories, the echoes of yesterday, and walked away from the motel, never glancing back. I wandered the streets, lost and searching. The world around me mirrored my emptiness, a chilling void that echoed my own despair. Everything I cherished was gone. All that remained was the relentless urge to move on, wherever the path led. Days slipped by until I discovered a tiny apartment across town. I rented it, hoping for a fresh start, yet each morning brought a crushing emptiness. The past tormented me, leaving no solace. I drifted like a specter, lost in a realm that had forgotten me. A long road stretched before me, a path to acceptance, a journey to rediscover who I was in this new reality. So much was gone, yet I had to summon the strength to push forward. Weeks dragged on, yet the agony remained unyielding. Every day was a haunting torment, a relentless cycle with no escape. Each morning I awoke to a profound emptiness that clung to me, unyielding until nightfall. Trapped in a suffocating fog, I could no longer see the light that once guided me. When Richard walked away, I remained in the tiny apartment I had found in a different part of the city. The apartment was small, suffocating even, yet somehow it felt boundless to me. It held no echoes of my past, no traces of the home I had shattered with my own hands. A fresh start, yet each day unleashed fresh agony. My mind spiraled with the weight of my choices, each moment a haunting reminder of my regrets. I broke my family, betrayed the one who loved me most, and ruined a bond that was meant to be sacred. The guilt clung to me, an unyielding shadow that never left my side. At times I'd sit on the bed, lost in thought, envisioning the paths my life could have taken with different choices. If only I had turned back at the start. If only I had fought against my desires. If only I had stayed true to Daniel. Yet those thoughts led nowhere. Reality stood unyielding, and I was powerless to alter it. Each time I stepped outside, the shift in the world hit me hard. As they walked past, oblivious, a stark truth hit me. I was no longer part of this world. Lost in my own existence, I felt the weight of meaning slip away, leaving only emptiness behind. I sought a job to escape my racing thoughts, yet even that failed to ease my pain. Each morning I stepped out in search of work, yet every job slipped through my fingers. Nothing felt real anymore, and I was too weary to go on. Loneliness and despair clung to me like shadows, unyielding and suffocating. One evening, after a relentless search, I felt a fracture deep within me. I curled up on the floor, tears streaming down my face. Tears fell relentlessly, unstoppable. A deluge swept through, drowning every ounce of my struggle to survive. I wept endlessly, desperate to let go of my emotions, yet found no solace. Starting anew was far more challenging than I ever imagined. Every effort to create something fresh crashed into the unforgiving barrier of regret and guilt. Regret consumed me. I was trapped in my own unforgivable act. I shattered my life and the lives of those I loved. The weight of that truth crushed me. Nightmares jolted me awake once more. In my dreams, Daniel and Richard emerged, their faces etched with anguish and despair. They turned, walked away, leaving me in the suffocating darkness. These dreams gripped me, pulling me from sleep with screams, my heart constricted by fear and yearning. Alone in my apartment, a sudden truth struck me. I had to change everything. I couldn't endure this any longer. I needed to release the past, embrace my flaws, and forge ahead. Yet it proved far more challenging than anticipated. I chose to reach out for help. I scheduled a session with a therapist, yearning to unravel my emotions and discover the will to carry on. The initial sessions were a struggle. Every time I tried to speak of it, a surge of agony crashed over me. Slowly, I started to reveal myself. I shared my fears, the weight of my losses, the struggle of carrying this burden on my soul. The therapist revealed a harsh truth. The past is unchangeable, yet I must find a way to bear its weight. She revealed that my yearning for a fresh start was the crucial first step to mending my soul. To move forward, I had to find a way to forgive myself, no matter how impossible it felt. The journey was excruciating and drawn out. Haunted by my past, I searched desperately for the courage to forgive the unforgivable. There were moments I nearly surrendered, believing I lacked the power to go on. Yet, in the shadows, a flicker of hope emerged, a tiny beam piercing the gloom. Gradually, I sensed a shift. The ache lingered, yet it dulled, a haunting reminder of what was. I realized my past didn't have to dictate my future. From my mistakes, I can rise stronger than before. The journey was tough, fraught with pain, yet I pressed on, determined to heal. Each day, I moved closer to a life reborn. I landed a job at a tiny cafe, a place where my past remained buried and unseen. This place was my escape, a brief sanctuary where my troubles faded away, if only for a moment. I began to discover happiness in the smallest moments. The morning light, the aroma of fresh coffee, the warmth of a customer's smile. These fleeting moments fueled my resolve to push forward. I understood that the past was unchangeable, yet I could strive to improve my future. I sought the courage not merely to survive, but to believe in others once more, to embrace fresh experiences. Each day was a struggle, yet deep within, I sensed a transformation unfolding. Eventually, I understood that the path to a new life could unfold slowly. It unfolded slowly, demanding every ounce of patience and willpower. I came to cherish every second, no matter how painful it was. I realized it's not merely about our existence, but about grappling with the weight of our choices. Ultimately, I discovered a profound sense of peace within. I embraced my flaws and discovered the power to let go. The past lingered within me, yet it no longer dictated my existence. Hope flickered as I glimpsed the light at the tunnel's end, promising a brighter future. Errors define our humanity. We all stumble, and the fallout can be heart-wrenching. A single mistake took it all away. Chasing my passions blinded me, and in the end, I lost everything that truly mattered. I craved more, yet in chasing it, I lost sight of what I once cherished. I shattered the trust of my loved ones and unraveled my own existence. In hindsight, I see my error wasn't in loving. It was in surrendering my grip on life. Hold tightly to what you possess. Don't let your cravings overshadow the essence of what truly counts. Passion can ignite the soul, yet when misdirected, it can unleash devastating repercussions. If only I could rewrite my choices. Time slips away, leaving me with lessons etched in regret. May my tale resonate and teach you something profound. Learn from my errors. Guard your treasures fiercely. Let not your cravings unravel all you've built.